Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are back with another pick'em. Week 12. We weren't able to do one, sadly, because Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving. I didn't have time to make one. But we did decently good. I think 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 4-3, 4-4. I only had like 4 incorrect picks. No, 5, because I picked the Vikings. 5 out of what? 16 or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. So we went 11-5. Not the worst week in the world, not the best week in the world. Trying to do better here, of course. Anyways, 117 and 63 on the year. Probably should be 116, 64 because I think I switched up a pick in the past week. But anyways, next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these are teams with winning records. But I think the Cowboys are just going to beat the brakes off the Seahawks. I really think that the Seahawks don't have a chance here. I just don't think it. There is no chance, 0%, that the Seahawks win this game. And I get it might sound like I'm trying to jinx the Cowboys here, and, they do lose some easy games in a season. But the Seattle Seahawks are just completely falling off, man. They lost to the Rams. They got blown out by the Ravens just a few weeks ago. They are on a massive skid right now. And with the schedule, with the teams they're playing getting blown out by the 49ers, they play the Cowboys this week, the 49ers next week, and the Eagles the week after. They probably don't make the playoffs this year. I think that you can say that pretty safely. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks will make the playoffs. Just because of not just because of how hard their schedule is. The NFC seems to be opening up. There's a lot of teams getting into the mix, including the Rams, the Packers. Vikings are still in it. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks make it this year. As for the Cowboys, they've just been dominant. Now, we do want to see how they do against winning teams, but by winning teams, I do not mean the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, they are mid. And again, beating the brakes off of them, of course, is more impressive than the Washington Commanders, so I will give them that. And the Cowboys are a very impressive team. They're a top 5 team in the league. Great, incredible defense. Obviously, Deron Bland is playing amazing. Love Micah Parsons, and obviously the rest of that group is insane. Dan Quinn is amazing. I wish the Eagles had him. And Dak is playing at an MVP level. This team is just really, really good. And it makes me wonder how they're going to choke it in the divisional round this year. Because they're looking really, really good. Next up, you have a division battle here. Colts at Titans. And, the Colts really are just a better team. Their schedule's opening up, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Colts make a playoff run. And I know it sounds pretty shocking, The Colts were seen as a really, really bad team coming into the year, but look at their schedule. This isn't very difficult. And the Titans are just a really bad team, Their defense, which is usually very feisty, it's just lost so much talent. Even the defensive genius of Mike Vrabel is struggling to keep it apart. They don't have an O-line. Will Levis, he's been pretty decent for a rookie, but he's still a rookie. And, he isn't otherworldly or anything, like C.J. Stroud. And, the receiving talent just isn't there. DeAndre Hopkins, I think he's probably lost a step, at least, because, he obviously isn't playing like he used to. The Titans team just isn't very good, and their O-line is quite bad. They're just not a good team. They're one of the worst in the league, and the Colts are on the rise. They're winning games. They're winning impressive games. I know that the Bucs aren't like the standard for success or anything, but beating the Bucs, scoring 27 on their pretty good defense, beating them pretty handedly, they're coming into form, and Shane Steichen's doing a very good job. This defense is looking pretty nasty, except for the secondary. But you love to see what the Colts have, a very feisty team, and they could do something in the playoffs. Next up, Chargers at Patriots. We all know the Chargers. If they find a way to blow this game, if they find a way to do this, would I be shocked? I don't know. I don't know if I would be surprised. But the Patriots are like the second worst team in football, honestly, behind the Panthers, of course. They are bad. They are really, really bad. They don't have sustainable quarterback play. Like, if the Chargers defense, and I know they're like the worst defense in the league, but if they somehow make this Patriots offense look good, that would impress me. Like, I don't think that the Chargers can choke this. All they have to do is score more than 15 points and the game is already won. And I think that Justin Herbert can score more than 15 points against a defense that is basically on the field the entire game because the offense can't do anything. I don't know how the Chargers lose this. I just don't know. And besides, they're 4-7 anyways. They have 4 wins on the year. They might not choke this. Lions at Saints, and this is where I can see the Lions picking their footing back up. The Saints offense, yeah, they can move the ball quite a lot, but in the red zone they'll always fizz out. This Lions defense hasn't been playing good lately, but against the Saints, I think they'll probably win. The Saints just aren't a very good team. The Lions offense isn't going to have a field day. I could see this game getting a little bit tight, but I don't know. The Derek Carr experience, I just don't see Derek Carr, winning this. It's probably going to be a pretty decently close game, though. I won't lie. Next up, Falcons at Jets, and look, I don't care about the rumors that Aaron Rodgers could be coming back sometime this season. This Jets team is horrible. I feel so bad for that defense. Game in and game out. That is the thing is that there are 5 offenses that could contend for the worst offense in the league. Of course, we talked about the Patriots. The Giants are down there, but honestly, the Giants are actually playing some decent football. They actually are on a 2-game win streak with a D3 roster. Credit to Brian Dable. But the Jets are down there. The Jets are definitely Jets, Patriots, Panthers. Those are probably the 3 worst offenses in the league. And they're just letting down a top 5 defense game after game. It's truly sad. Could the Falcons still lose this game? I don't doubt it because the Jets defense is that good. But the Falcons offense, you first of all, just use your players properly, okay? That's step number 1. And step number 2 is probably score more than 10 points because that's all it takes for you to win against these teams. Again, these 3 offenses are probably historically awful. Seriously. In recent memory, of the past 5 years-ish, ever since I started watching football, I don't remember offense as bad as this. Maybe the beginning of the 2022 Broncos season? I would have to check, but this is some atrocious offense that we're seeing from these teams. Even though the Cardinals' record is bad, though, making a little transition here. Even though their record is bad, their offense isn't the Jets, Patriots. But I still think the Steelers are going to win. The Steelers have a very good defense, and their offense is actually coming alive without, Matt Canada. And even though, Jonathan Gannon has gotten these players to play for him, especially on defense, it's just the defensive roster is just that bad. It really is. So I think Pittsburgh comfortably goes away with this game, wins, holds the Cardinals to probably like 10 points or something and wins something like 20-10, I would say. Because, I mean, like, the Steelers' offense actually came alive against the Bengals, and that's a pretty good Bengals, defensive unit right there. Even though, Jake Browning did come in and, he was out for the season, that does have an impact because the Bengals' offense is going to be on the field less and is going to be a lot less potent. But I really do think that the Steelers' offense did come alive that game, and they'll keep showing out, and they'll probably make the playoffs. And who knows? I mean, it's Baltimore and Pittsburgh racing for the AFC North right now. Could the Steelers make a push for the division? Probably not at this point in time. I don't think that they'll make a push, but I mean, who knows? Because in recent memory, they have kind of had ownership over the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just saying, if they sweep Baltimore, and I know this might sound like a long shot right now just because of how good Baltimore is, but if they do manage to do it, I mean, could the Steelers win this division? It might not be as far-fetched as you might think. Anyways, Dolphins at Commanders. The Dolphins have the best offense in the league, and the Commanders have, honestly, one of the worst defenses in the league. Like, truly, honestly, I would say their defense is 31st in the league, just behind LA, barely, but their defense is atrocious. They are horrible. They are truly awful. Like, this is just an atrocious unit. I mean, they really have one of the worst defenses in the league. And, I mean, losing Chase Young and Montez Sweat is just brutal. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Like, their defense just has no firepower now on that, like, D-line. Even though Jonathan Allen is still there, he might be, like, and Daron Payne, but those are, like, their only good players on defense. Everyone in the secondary is playing bad. I mean, at least they've fired Jack Del Rio. And, I mean, the Dolphins are the Dolphins. Their offense is just going to keep cruising, even though I don't even know if Tua might throw a few picks this game. Honestly, he might have a 400-yard passing game. Watch out, fantasy owners. I would start starting Tua. Maybe not over Dak, but starting Tua. Anyways, this is the 1 o'clock game that I want to watch this week. Broncos at Texans. I am so excited for this game. I am almost as excited as I am for the Eagles 49ers game. I'll get to that in a moment, but anyways. Broncos at Texans. Who knew that this would be the most anticipated game well, not the most, because Eagles 49ers is still here, but yeah, this is the second most anticipated game on the slate, and this is going to be amazing. I mean, this might decide who gets the 6 and 7 seed in the AFC. Okay, this is amazing. I am very excited to pick this game, and honestly, this one might be a toss-up. Let's start with the Broncos. The Broncos, I mean, what a turnaround. This is, like, almost historic in a way. They lose 70-20 to the Dolphins, go down to 1-5 on the year, and they just pick themselves right up. It's truly, honestly, a miracle what happened to Denver. And you think about all the years of suffering ever since Peyton Manning left. All of those years of suffering through bad quarterback play, horrible offense. And they would have decent defenses for, like, moments in time. But nothing would ever materialize just because of how bad the offense was. And then they get Russell Wilson back in the offseason, like, they had a slimmer of hope, and it was just a glimmer of hope, sorry. And they just completely just failed at every level. They were horrible. And this year, it looked like that again after hiring an actually good coach. Somehow, some way, they started 1-5, got 70 points dropped on them. We're the bottom of the barrel franchise. and they pick it back up. They start with a small win over Green Bay. Nothing too impressive because Green Bay was really, really bad at the time. But then they beat the Chiefs, and that turns heads. They beat the Chiefs by an astonishing 15 points. Then I don't know exactly who they beat next, but then they beat they beat the Bills next. They beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs and the Bills. They beat the Vikings. They are on a 5-game win streak. Russell Wilson is playing decent ball, okay? He's not like in the top 10 quarterbacks, but he's playing like a top 15 quarterback right now, He's not exactly like he used to, but he's in between that, And he's playing good. He's conserving the football. He's allowing the run game to thrive, and this has become quite a pretty decently good offense. And this defense, what a turnaround from getting 70 points dropped on you a game. Through the first 3 weeks of the season, they had allowed 40 points a game. It was horrifying. People were calling for Vance Joseph's head every 2 seconds. And he completely turned it around. This defense has now become one of the best in the league. Ever since. This defense has been probably the main reason why they have been winning games. They're now one of the top defenses in the league instead of the bottom. I am so hyped about the Broncos, okay? What an absolute miracle. What a turnaround. And then you have the Houston Texans. What a story. This is going to be one of the greatest clashes of all time. I am so hyped for this game. Because guess what? Not only are the Broncos an incredible story just this season, but look at the Houston Texans' history. Their history has been literally nothing. Pure irrelevance since the beginning. They got a few 3 seeds around 2012. They made... Did they make an AFC championship? I have no idea. But they lost in the divisional games a few times. They had Deshaun Watson. And they completely butchered it. And Bill O'Brien butchered everything. Deshaun Watson is a sex offender. And now he's all the way in Cleveland. D-Hop was traded. And it was a nightmare in Houston for about 3-ish years. 2020 to 2022, they draft Davis Mills, they go through a few head coaches, get in that rebuild, and then, they finally draft C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, and it looked like a culture was building, and it looked like Houston might actually have some future, but did we really expect it to come this soon? C.J. Stroud might be the next coming of Jesus. He has been playing absolutely lights out. That game in Georgia, it lit a fire under him. And that fire, we are in the NFL, and that fire has still not gone out. He is playing extraordinary ball right now. Not to mention that, these receivers have stepped up. And I know that it might be C.J. Stroud making these receivers look better than they actually are. But Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz are all having great seasons. The offensive line is doing a pretty decent job blocking. The defense is, it's okay. It's okay. But C.J. Stroud has been an absolute god. And, he's brought this team to 6-5. And, he's basically been carrying this team to wins in historic performances against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Possibly the game of the year. 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, shattering rookie records. It's insane what this man has done. It is absolutely insane. So, who do I think wins this game? So, I'm going to I've already broken this game down harder than I have for the majority of games this season, just because I'm that excited about it. So, this game is probably going to come down to, can the Broncos defense stop C.J. Stroud? That's the only thing, right? Because the Broncos offense and the Texans defense are both kind of decent. I think the Broncos score about, 24 to 24, 28 points. I mean, they're a pretty decently good offense, right? But this Broncos defense has been, at the top of the league after turning it around. After like the first 6 or 7 weeks, they completely turned it around and they are becoming one of the much better defenses in football. Can they stop CJ Stroud? Can they stop him? I don't think so. But I'm very anxious to see because, well, I don't think they will, but I definitely think that they can. At least they can stop him enough. We saw what the Jags did. The Jags offense, really, really good on paper, but they're not really complete right now. They haven't rounded into form. I think the Broncos can do a similar thing that Jacksonville did to Houston and just hold them off. But if they can't hold CJ Stroud off, then it's going to be fireworks. And it's going to be a Houston victory. But we're going to see. I mean, what a game we have on our hands. What an absolute showdown. Okay, and Bucks at Panthers. Yeah, no. Panthers at Bucks. Who cares, honestly? The Panthers already lost this game anyways. Everybody knows that, Tampa Bay is a mid-team. But Carolina's the bottom of the barrel of an NFL franchise. I don't think that I need to go any further to specify why this game is in Tampa Bay's lap. I mean, the Panthers are just horrible. And now, Browns at Rams. And this is an interesting game. I think the Rams win this. The Browns defense is... it's obviously the best defense in the league. This has been known. But I don't know. Like, the Browns seem like they're not on a free fall, I wouldn't say, but they're losing hope. And what I mean by that, they're not. Of course, their defense is still their defense. That that's a given. But you just saw what the Broncos. What the Broncos did to that defense, like especially in like the second half of that game. When DTR got hurt, Browns just lost hope. Come on, like, beating PJ Walker, no matter what defense is on the other side, isn't difficult. And the Rams are rounding into form. Matt Stafford is playing, he's playing some good ball. He's playing really well. He's playing like Matt Stafford right now. He's playing good. They still have Puka. They still have Cooper Kupp. And Kyron Williams came back and he absolutely balled out for this team. He's a great runner. Not a great runner per se, but like he's pretty good. He's a good player. Now the Rams defense is obviously not good at all because there's just no talent there besides Aaron Donald. But I think it might be enough to stop PJ Walker. Come on. I'm going to go with the Rams for this. The Rams look like they're rounding into form. Okay. Next up, 49ers at Eagles. This is pretty much the two best teams in the league duking it out. Let's start with the 49ers, They started out the season 5-0, and they were pretty much world beaters. There was just no arguing the concept. Not only like that they were the best team in the league, they were probably seen as like a historically good team up to that point. Like they were on an insane run. And a few injuries come along, and Brock Purdy kind of shows his, true colors a little bit as kind of a product of Shanahan's system. And, they go on a 3-game skid. But they look like they're back. They really just look like they're back. Like, almost completely. They're playing, their best football right now. They're just blowing everyone out like it's the beginning of the season again. I don't know. The only thing that seems to stop this team always is injuries. It's just always been this way. And, they're completely healthy against this Eagles team. But the Eagles, this season has been, the Eagles are 10-1, but this season has pretty much been a roller coaster, right? All the games this year, the Eagles just, they haven't been able to keep themselves out of close games, really. And against all these good teams, they get down early, but they're always managing to come back. It's impressive. I feel like this team is the most clutch Eagles team that I've ever watched. I feel like it's the most clutch team I may have ever seen. You think of Mahomes being a comeback king, Brady, but this Eagles team right now is so clutch. Seriously, they're down, 10 points against the Chiefs, 10 points against the Bills, The only problem is that when they have the lead or they have, the opportunity, the game is tied and they have the opportunity to take the lead, at least in the beginning of the game, if they are in a position to take the lead early in a game, they just falter for some reason. And there's a lot of concerns right now, I think, with the O-line, with, the secondary of our defense. They might get cooked by Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy's playing insane right now. And, there's just a few concerns. Last year, the reason that we won was this D-lines. It was the lines. It was basically the lines. So that's the Eagles' probably their key to winning this time again. Offensive and defensive line dominate. But this year, the offensive line doesn't feel as dominant is another thing. First of all, we need Lane Johnson to be back. That's first and foremost. Because Jack Driscoll, he's okay. He's a backup. He's whatever. But he's obviously not Lane Johnson. That's number one. And number two, this O-line just doesn't feel as dominant. The D-line, of course, does. Because the defensive line right now is, they probably have the most pressures in the league by a wide margin. And yeah, they're not hitting on all those sacks. That says more to the secondary being able to hold up a little less than last year. Because obviously, if they're getting home more often, that probably means that the secondary is doing a better job of keeping, the quarterback from throwing. Pretty common logic right here. But they are getting so many pressures at an absurd rate. If we're able to... But Purdy also does pretty well under pressure. He does have that ability to, extend plays in the pocket and stuff like that. So it's going to be a battle. But I want to tell 49ers fans, if you do get up early, I wouldn't start talking. Okay? Just don't do it. Because there is something different. Jalen Hurts, when he's tied or trailing, first of all, have you even seen the stats when he's tied or trailing? He goes absolutely ballistic. He's insane. This team is probably built for the playoffs. I seriously think that. Because the Eagles are just getting, built and built and built to play contenders. And when they're down, they come back. I really do think, even though they may not look the best, even though they do not win the best, I think they probably win the championship just based on being clutch. Really. That's because, at the end of the day, when the lights are brightest and when they're needed the most, Jalen Hurts and this team shine the most. Is really what it's looking like this year. Even though, it isn't that way, at the beginning of games. So I'm going to say that the Eagles win it, of course, because I'm biased and I'm an Eagles fan, and cry about it, 49ers. Cry in the comments or something. I gave I love just giving a detailed analysis only to say the Eagles are winning this game, and giving a lot of reasons why we shouldn't win the game, only to pick us again. Because, yeah, what else do you expect? I'm biased. Cry about it. Chiefs at Packers, and now look. The Packers are on a good run. They're playing well, and that's cute and all, but Mahomes is Mahomes. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're not losing this. Come on, be serious. Let's be real. Let's think about it. Use your brains. Mahomes is Mahomes, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Of course, would I hope for the Packers to win? Obviously, yes. I hate the Chiefs with my life. But come on, like, it's the Chiefs are the Chiefs, bro. Like, you can't. Man, Monday Night Football had the potential to be a really, really great game. Injuries really do suck, don't they? I'm just gonna leave you with that. If you know anything about football, I mean, injuries just suck. I'm not even gonna tell you anything else about this game because there's just no point in talking about it, right? Like, injuries suck. 24-10 Jaguars. That's the end of my video. Thanks for watching. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is. Oh my god, I gave a really that video felt nice to make. Dude, do you know how hyped I am for the Broncos Texans game?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, that game is gonna be wild. That game is gonna be great. So excited. So absolutely excited. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is.